technology. I wish when I had a question, I wish on the grandkids.
Yeah, I will say. To do this. That meeting. And their meeting today.
Double echoing.
You have the video live, I think.
Let me come out, yeah. Let me see if I can't stop that.
You were talking.
I just went to a meeting.
Okay,
I can't tell you.
that's fine. So we're talking about something. I'm
But the
not going
meeting,
to cut you off.
no, but the meeting tech would actually show each person individually on the meeting thing. And so you can see all of us individually plus the room.
Oh, wow. Dang.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Someone told me about this company the other day. And they told me about it.
Oh, no, it's,
Hey, just that's really,
think about it.
Really took off there.
that's
I want to say. Is that want them known?
Yeah, no, don't. Yeah, let me think, let me see if there's a way to do that.
one split. So for every share you got 10 shares.
We can start whenever you're ready, Kenny.
Why don't we go ahead and get started then?
60 cents.
Ken, Marcus, I imagine
Yeah, I'm gonna,
you guys are gonna just tag in this one a little bit.
yeah, I hear you. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not.
Brief introduction. Morning.
Good morning.
So over the last few months, we've been meeting with department heads, and then this is Ken Olson with Enterprise Fleet Management. And so we've had the opportunity to kind of sit down with all the departments. We had Martin, obviously Gary and John were involved as well. And we kind of went through all of our vehicles and our entire program and what we've been spending and how we've been utilizing our fleet up to date. So and Ken will kind of get into their whole process and how that works, but we're looking at a potentially an equity lease model that would go through the fleet management system of Enterprise. And so we would actually get to a point to where we're able to lease their vehicles for a number of years. And then at the end of that lease, we actually receive the equity back on that vehicle as they sell it. And they put that back, roll that back into the system so that we're able to replace that with a new vehicle at that time. So depending on the number of years that we set that lease up, it actually has been able, what we were looking through on these numbers, it could save us close to probably $100,000 a year on maintenance and fuel. So there's a lot of benefits to this program. I think when you look at the true cost of what our current system is we look for the lowest price possible on a vehicle. We buy that and we try to get the greatest number of years possible out of that. And that's kind of our current fleet management process. And it's worked for us for a number of years, but in a way that's not really managing your fleet. That's really just, we're going out as something's about to break down. We're buying something, we're just trying to get as many years out as possible. What we're finding is in those later years, we start to put more money into the maintenance. We're starting to have larger replacement parts and equipment and things of that nature. And that's where the cost starts to kind of counteract to where it's not quite as efficient in the long run. So that's when we met with Ken, started going through the process, looking at what their program would look like for us and how it could potentially save the county dollars. When we did the initial analysis, we were looking at about in our first 10 years, there's some potential to save about, anywhere from $600,000 to $700,000 off our current process. And we thought that was significant enough, especially with the property tax and what we're talking about, trying to lower property tax and being as efficient as possible. We thought it was worth going and taking a look at this program. Another thing that really stood out to me, and you can see a number of references from Enterprise, when I went to CPM class last year, met with a number of different city and county representatives. A lot of them are actually working with Enterprise. And I think for me, what stood out was the amount of praise that we're hearing from those cities. We actually sat down with the city of Salina. They've been using Enterprise since I think 2018, 2019, maybe around that time. And they've seen some significant savings on their fleet management. And they're about probably double or triple the fleet size that we're talking here with Dickinson County. We were able to speak with the new city manager. I should know his name, last name Woods, but
Yeah, Jacob.
Woods.
Yep.
And he had really gave us some good insight into the program and how it's benefited them and how it's worked well with the city of Salina. I think what really stood out in that conversation is we also had their, everyone from their shop, their maintenance department was in on that call. And they actually talked about the customer service they received, which I think is huge because that's something that typically on the backside I hear about from the mechanics or from the shop, and they're the ones that are going to say, you don't want to go with this program. It's a pain in the butt. We have to deal with it, and it causes us some issues. Not getting that at all. They said it's very easy to work with. The process is smooth and clear. So when I heard all that, I thought it's definitely a program worth bringing to the commission and taking a look at. And from there, I'll let Ken absolutely move into some of your information on it.
Yeah, most welcome. Well, good morning, gentlemen, and certainly appreciate you having me out today. Love that you guys do these in the morning instead of 7 p.m. like most of the commission meetings I go to. So, but realistically, thank you so much for having me. Before I dive in, just wanted to thank Marcus, Janelle, all of the staff that's been involved. We've had all the department heads in there. Kenny's been in a few conversations. So just really appreciate all the time and dedication that everybody spent. We really dug in and built out the strategy, and we'll talk about all the financial stuff here in a moment, but took a lot of their time. So really appreciate that piece. And I always find that that's the best strategy before you all from the commission level. I want to really get into the weeds, make sure it's a good fit for the team, make sure they understand everything and how it's customizable and all of that. So been an awesome experience up until this point. From an agenda standpoint, I want to give you a high level overview, just kind of a quick who we are, and then briefly touch on the vehicle and operational sides of our program, and then get into the numbers lastly. Certainly we'll answer any questions along the way. Please hit me as we go. But from a big picture standpoint, we're part of the Enterprise Mobility family. You're probably familiar with us from a rental car division. On my side, we essentially just leverage that infrastructure. We've got a whole bunch of tools, resources, people all throughout the country, and we leverage that network to help entities with what we consider to be small to medium-sized fleets. About 20 to 500 vehicles is our niche. About an average client has about 100 vehicles in the fleet. And when you think about that from a governmental perspective, pretty much all of our government agencies here in Kansas fall into that core size, if you will. From a role structure standpoint, my position is really just getting the partnerships established. I'm in commissioner meetings, council meetings every week at this point, working with the team to design the strategy, the vehicle structure, figure out what pieces of our program would be a good fit. We do have the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative Award, so you can piggyback on all of the different things that we're going to talk about today. Contracts, kind of getting the initial process started. I cover the whole state of Kansas, about half of Missouri. From there, I have teams of account teams that would come out and meet with you all on a regular basis. So with you all being a calendar year type budget, our annual client review would typically happen in January. So we're going to come out and show you what we did over the last year, financially, operationally, and what we're working on. Typically a good time to bring that information to you all from a commission level standpoint. Our second meeting would probably come March timeframe. And in that meeting, we're really planning out our budget for 2027, this first year, okay? So come on March, get all that, get all the data, get all the numbers put together. so that the team's prepared, they know what vehicles are coming in and out. And then you probably have another meeting or two, August timeframe, when we're finalizing budgets and all that. So the core piece there is, with our client strategy managers, we want to be there on a regular basis and meeting with you on a consistent basis to help you prepare the budget. Take some of this legwork off your team's plate, make it really easy for them to digest the data and make good financial decisions, and then be very proactive from a strategy perspective so we can order the vehicles at the right time and have them deliver effectively. From a flexibility standpoint, Marcus mentioned Salina. When driving out, I passed Unified Government, I passed Shawnee County, Ellis County, Russell County. With these few agencies, they only use us for what I consider the vehicle side. So purchasing the vehicles, getting them upfitted, funding, and then resale. A few others, Ford County, Pawnee County, Marion County, Lynn County, Jackson on the Missouri side, they use us for that vehicle side, but they also use us for our maintenance program, or some use our fuel program, our telematics programs. So, and then from there, maybe the sheriff's side looks a little bit different than the road and bridge side, right? And it's really customized and really flexible. And it can also change over the years as things change with it and change in the world, right? So just a lot of customization down to the vehicle level or the department level even. Same goes for the vehicle strategy. To give you an example, Hillsborough and Lyons, not too far from here, I rotated out their whole fleet day one right out of the gate. Salina, Jacob, city of Salina over there back in 2018, 2019, as we mentioned, we did a 3-year implementation. So right around when COVID hit and all the vehicle shortages and whatnot, they had a brand new fleet of vehicles. So we had vehicles coming in and out pretty much as quick as we could bring them in. So a really cool example there. Cherokee County, I did a 5-year implementation. So I share that with you because every entity, some get really aggressive, some get really streamlined, some do a combination, and it certainly changes over the years. So again, all that comes back to the relationship and our people being with you on a regular basis. Last thing before we dive in a little bit deeper, I always like to give an example of the equity lease model. So the biggest area of opportunity with most of my government clients is reducing the budget, doing more with less, and then starting to get in and out of the units at the right time. So over the years, a lot of our entities have rotated out vehicles at a 12-month term, okay? And Unified Government, I did all their street departments at 12 months. The reason this works is because you buy vehicles better than anyone, being a government agency. Enterprise sells more used vehicles, and we sell them better than anyone back end, and then you put on 5,000 to 15,000 miles, so a lot less than a retail side model. So with them, what I did was I took a F-250 from about 32,000, funded it for 12 months down to a remaining balance of about $25,000 through our equity lease model. So their budget for the year was $7,000. Then I was selling those trucks for $45,000 to $50,000. So they paid $7,000, got a check back for about $20,000 to $25,000. So they actually profited. They then put that into that department's equipment reserve fund and paid for the next vehicle and the next vehicle and the next vehicle, right? That's not always going to happen. Right now, a lot of our units are ran 36 to 60 months, and that's really what I have structured in this model. But the government incentives are trending up on the Chevy pickups. We actually can almost break even now at this point as the government incentives continue to trend up. So that's really, again, where my team's always looking at it. Do we need to get out sooner? Do we need to extend out longer? And when's the lowest cost of ownership? When's the right time to get out of that specific vehicle instead of just paying cash and run that vehicle until it's dead, right? From there, as Marcus mentioned, the operational expenses are going to come down. We're going to have better fuel economy. We're going to have lower maintenance. We're going to get more equity, of course, all those different variables. But that's really how we look at it. We look at it from a cost of ownership standpoint. How can we reduce the budget? How can we get this fleet in a healthy position and so forth? So a lot of different variables there. I'll dive into the vehicle space of how we do this, but any questions on the front end, just high level?
I think so.
Okay. From an acquisition perspective, essentially any way that you can imagine procuring a vehicle, we have solutions for it. So largest used inventory in the country. We sell all of our vehicles. We sell all of our rental cars. I have 1 million vehicles sitting there any given day that if you need them. We don't recommend that, at least right now, for government agencies to buy used vehicles. We have that availability. We also have the largest dealership network. We partner with the majority of the dealerships throughout the country. Last year, we bought from 15,000. We deliver our vehicles to these dealerships. We buy from them, maintenance work, warranty work, et cetera. All that. Yes, sir.
Well, I guess it kind of comes to mind, I'll use the sheriff's department, for example, not to pick on them, but I think it's a good example. Sometimes because they have more road mileage, more exposure. Sometimes they're driving a little faster, and between deer and a few accidents. And so how is this going to impact as far as, it's not always a vehicle that just winds itself down over a couple of years. I don't know if maybe Jerry could explain it better, or so how do you deal with that issue, I guess? Is that
Yeah, so we have these structured through the equity lease model. Sheriff's vehicles are going to be a lot higher. And if you look at the budget model, I've got different mileage patterns for them. So we're running those out a little bit longer, and they're putting on higher mileage, but we're still getting out of them at the right time. Some of our agencies will get out at 50, 75, 100,000, depending on what vehicle it is, where the incentives are, where the resale is, but there's still a right time, right? And sheriff's already got somewhat of a cycle pattern, and most of our sheriff's office already have a plan, maybe not for their administrative vehicles and such, but for the full out pursuit rated emergency type vehicles, they're going to have some sort of a plan. What we look at, and transparently, I'm just trying to break even on those units. If I can get them out of those vehicles a little bit sooner, if I can rotate that equipment over at the right time to where the transfers over the next vehicle, I can help them from a logistics perspective. A lot of those things, we're still doing the same vehicles, we're still doing the same aftermarket equipment and all of that, but we're just bringing in some efficiencies and some resources and then managing when to get out. Now, they are going to hit deer. They are going to have vehicles break down. There is stuff like that. We're not perfect. We're not saying we're going to flip those vehicles for 12 months or anything like that. With the pursuit type vehicles, if there's a total loss, we are listed on the certificate of insurance as an additional insured. We're made whole. They get whatever excess equity, if you will, comes from the insurance company, and then we go out and we find a new vehicle. Emporia, not too long ago, they broke down or whatever, and I had to go get them a vehicle out of our pool inventory. Got them back on the road. I do all Wichita Public Schools. All their SRO vehicles we pull and we move over to our counties or cities, whatever it be, to keep them rolling. So we've got efficiencies and resources. When that deer gets hit, when there's a breakdown, we're there to help and make that process more efficient for them. Does that answer the question there?
It does. And I wasn't picking on them. I think that's kind of something that probably happens with every sheriff department within this area. I mean, it's just the cost of doing business.
So Ken, do you work with zone representatives when you purchase these vehicles?
From a manufacturer standpoint?
Right.
Absolutely. But more so on the commercial space. I do a lot of commercial business as well. And that's where we'll put incentive packages together. And that leads us into the factory ordering structure. So I've got every make, every model, Ford, Ram, GM, Tesla, Toyota, Nissan, whoever you can think of. Now with the acquisition, over a certain point, we can work with the manufacturers if you're buying enough vehicles to where we can put additional incentives on top of the government incentives. It's kind of gone away from the government space the last few years, just with some of the things in the world, in the vehicle world, but that's coming back, and we can get you guys additional one like this. If we go with the full 30, we can get some additional incentives on top of your government incentives. So that's yes from that perspective, but you all get very strong buying power just in general. Being a government agency, you get those government incentives, but yes, we're working with all the manufacturers, especially, I'll give you another example. The Tahoe this year was really the only one, or the main one. The police Tahoe, it was on allocation. So a lot of my counties wanted that Tahoe. Well, we had basically by October 1st, you had to have your allocation. I still have some allocation there, but that's when those restrictions come. We're working with these folks. We're way ahead of the game because we're talking 9 to 12 months before we're placing that order. So we're securing those so the team knows exactly what they're getting, what they can get, and we bring that to their table so they can make good decisions. When we order those vehicles, or whatever procurement model we use, we then work with the aftermarket vendors, the Serves of the world, the American Equipment, the Heartlands, whoever it be. We'll order that vehicle, we'll drop ship it to Heartland, we'll drop ship it to American Equipment, Serve, get that vehicle upfitted, and then we'll get that vehicle delivered to you all ready to go. You don't start paying until after that vehicle delivers. So if we order the vehicle today and it delivers 6 months into your budget year, you're not paying until that hits, and then your monthly payments start from there. So you really only have 6 months that first budget year if we order those vehicles and it took that long to get that vehicle ordered, upfitted, delivered. Okay. As I deliver that vehicle, we'll then pick up the replacement unit. We will sell that vehicle on your behalf, whether it's a county-owned vehicle sitting out there today or it's an enterprise vehicle down the road. About 15% of our vehicles go through an auction channel. Those are the ones that are 200,000 miles, 10 years old, whatever it be. We do see a lot of those. That goes through our auction channel. The other 85% will go direct to our wholesale and franchise buyers that buy 1 to 2 million vehicles from us every year. We maximize the gains. We typically get about 10 to 15% above auction value. So we're handling the logistics. We're selling them very well. But most importantly, we're analyzing when's the right time to get out of that specific unit. Okay, whether it's 12 months, 36 months, 60 months, so forth. Okay. From there, I put those two components together, strong buying power on the front end, resale ability is on the back end. Then we figure out how do you want to pay for them. We have a net lease that there's fees, there's penalties. We keep the equity. I don't recommend that model for my government agencies. We have a self-fund model that's essentially a cash model, allows you to do exactly as you're doing today. We keep it on our books for $1 as we're handling the license and titling, the registrations, the renewals. And then when we sell that unit, we've already got title, so we're selling it as an enterprise vehicle. You get 100% of the equity. Very few of my government agencies do that, but at any point, if you want to do that, we've got that available. 99% of my government agencies are leveraging our equity lease model. All this is a bank finance down to a remaining balance. When we sell that vehicle, you get the equity. So if we take a $50,000 truck, we fund it to 20, we sell for 30, you get that $10,000. To Marcus's point, we recommend that you have that departmental equipment reserve fund in place so that when we sell that truck, that money goes into that fund, and then we offset our future budget costs through the equity of that vehicle as vehicles are coming in much more frequently than running them 10 to 20 years as we're doing today. Right? So that's where we're offsetting some of the expense in addition to the operational expenses coming down. So same as the acquisition model, essentially any way that you can imagine paying for the vehicle, we have a solution, and that's why we're meeting with you again so frequently. So we're part of the agency, we're part of the entity, and we're really doing what's best financially and operationally at every given point.
Why don't you touch on the service side of it a little bit?
Yeah, from a maintenance
That's gonna help
perspective.
us as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have 3 options again. So from that perspective, number one, you can keep us out of it. I know a lot of the maintenance is done in-house. That's absolutely okay. All the new vehicles that we bring in will be under warranty. We'll leverage the dealers, of course, for the warranty work. But if you keep everything in-house from a maintenance perspective, that is okay. Like I mentioned, Unified Government, Salina, Shawnee County, they have their own shop. They have their own mechanics. They keep us out of it. If Sheriff wanted to outsource, but Road and Bridge wanted to keep it in-house, that's okay. We can do that as well. We can customize this however you need it. We have 2 different programs that we offer. We have a maintenance management program that per our sourceful contract is $6 per month per vehicle. And then all maintenance is passed through to you. So I go into the local dealer, I go into the aftermarket vendor or the Firestone, Jiffy Lube, mom and pop shop, whatever it be. I give them the maintenance card for that vehicle or the mobile app for that vehicle. That shop works with our ASE certified technicians. We got 300 to 400 ASE certified. We got master ASE certified technicians, and they're making sure it's the right maintenance, right interval, negotiated pricing. Again, we pay that bill. Each department would get their own bill, their own segment on their website. They'd be able to see just their data. And then that data gets fed through to us. So as we're coming out on our quarterly meetings, now we're not looking at it from a big picture standpoint. We're looking with your true hard data for that specific vehicle, what that is costing you and helping you to leverage that data to get you in and out of the vehicles at the right time. So that's for the existing fleet. We can put that on day one on every single vehicle. The emergency response vehicles, that's the only program we offer, that pay-as-you-go type structure. But as the new vehicles come in from Enterprise, we have a fixed and budgeted full maintenance program. So Toyota Prius versus F750 is going to look a lot different. We got 5,000 miles on this vehicle. We got 25 on this vehicle, but we customize that for the duration of the term. So you don't have those peaks and valleys. And from that standpoint, we know that's your true hard cost for all preventative, all non-preventative. I can put brakes and tires in there, but it's fixed across the board. So we can leverage that from a cost of ownership standpoint to say, hey, this truly is your cost. Okay. So keep us out of it, pay as you go, fix and budget in for the new vehicles.
And I'm gonna speak a little bit to that. What that would allow us to do is the pursuit vehicles and the other vehicles that are not highway and bridge could be serviced here at a local dealership. That would allow our mechanics more time to work on our heavy equipment. In fact, would probably decrease the argument or need for another mechanic, which is kind of where we're at right now. So there's some other benefits to having that service. I thought I'd just add that.
100%. We see that. I mean, it's not cheap to get a new mechanic in, so from that standpoint, but again, it can vary over the years, and whatever your need is, if we decide to go that route on the front end, that's wonderful. If that changes in the future, that's okay. Again, I think from a service level standpoint, we want to be here for you, whatever that need is at every given point. And realistically, we don't make a tremendous amount on those programs. The benefit to us is the data. So if we can take that data and help you save money, reduce the budget, and get better operations going, that's where we benefit is on the vehicle side when we're bringing these vehicles in for you.
That program, so we wouldn't have to sign up for that right away. Let's say we started in-house doing our maintenance on our own, and then say we lost a mechanic and we were struggling to keep up with some of our maintenance and we needed to start adding that, we could add that later. Is that possible?
And even if you sign the maintenance agreement today, just so we have that in place, it's a vehicle by vehicle basis. Turn it on this one, turn it off that one, what maintenance management, full maintenance, whatever you want. So that's all customizable 100% across the board, and it's on a per unit basis.
Well, the vehicles today, the real complicated thing is those computers and the motor.
No doubt.
And I mean, that's an extraordinary amount of money.
Yeah.
How's that work in your program?
Yeah, so from that standpoint, that's one of the reasons. I'll give you an example. Jackson County on the Missouri side, they rotated like 300-400 vehicles over to our program through this maintenance structure because they didn't want to implement some of those technologies. They wanted their team focused on the more heavy duty stuff. And they knew that these vehicles are more computerized. It's not about turning the wrenches and the oil. It's more about diagnosing the computer. So that's where with our model, most of these vehicles are all under warranty for the lifespan that you're going to be operating them. And you have that warranty in place and you don't have to install the technology. You don't have to have master mechanics that know all that stuff. And there's a lot of value from getting out at the right time, essentially. There's going to be vehicles break down. We have the state contract from a rental perspective. If a vehicle breaks down, I've got a truck rental company, I've got a rental company. So from that standpoint, that stuff's going to happen. But at the end of the day, you're going to see far less downtime and far less, whether you're using our maintenance program or not, your maintenance is going to come significantly lower just from having a significantly newer fleet of vehicles. Right now, the average age is 8.4 years in the 51 vehicles that we were analyzing. If we went with this model all in, eventually it'd be about 2.5 years maximum would be the average age.
So today, really all we're going to do in our meeting is to authorize staff to work out details as far as an agreement, if we would approve that. But, and without going into that detail too much though, what is the typical contract? Is it a 2-year, 4-year? And you use Salina or Saline County, there's Salina as an example. Have they renewed the contract or is this something that's, how long have you been with
Great
them?
question. Again, that example is about 2018, pre-COVID. The master agreement that I believe the attorney has reviewed is an indefinite agreement that there's no financial obligation that allows us to partner and do business. Okay, so that contract, we don't renew, that's just in place. The actual financial obligation is on each lease quote or lease schedule. So if we do, we're recommending 30 vehicles for you all. If we do those 30, and we have that all built, I can walk you through that quickly here. Each one of those vehicles will have its own lease schedule, and that's the true financial obligation. So 3 years go by and you don't like me anymore, you don't like Enterprise, whatever it be, we got to get out of this program. The option to get out of that specific unit would be for us to sell that vehicle. You get the equity. You don't have to replace that vehicle. You pay off the remaining balance. You owe $20,000 on that vehicle. You write us a check for $20,000, or you extend that vehicle out until it's fully depreciated. Okay, so we have that flexibility in there so you can do what's best for the entity at every point. But we also have that flexibility built in there, more importantly, in my opinion, to where we can get out. If we're at 36 months and we can capitalize and get out at 12 months, you can get out early. If we need to extend out longer, you can extend that out longer. So from that standpoint, the contract's indefinite, the financial obligation is on a per unit basis.
So there is opportunity to review, say, 3 years from now, if we want to change the agreement or at least discuss that or
I would hope it's
leave for
everywhere.
something else. I mean, it's not that we look that it's going to fall apart. It's just that it's good to have that review.
100% agree with you. And I would take that one step further and say, year one, we want to have those discussions. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing right out of the gate. And that's why I have a team coming out here and meeting with you at least 4 times a year around your budget year, because essentially day one, we're going to start forecasting out, and I've already kind of started to do that. We're going to start forecasting your 27 budget as well, right? Because then we add, year 2, we're talking about adding 6 more vehicles. So then there's 36 vehicles on lease. And then in year 3, we're going to start selling enterprise vehicles. And every year we have to reanalyze that because maybe we need to get more aggressive. Maybe we need to get less aggressive. And right out of the gate, you can put down payment, you can pay cash. If that ever becomes the model, we can use equity lease. We've got all types of customization, but again, it's all about the relationship and the partnership. I think any of those entities will tell you, the entities that are successful in this program, we have good working relationships with these people, right? And they really know what we do, and they are willing to sit down with us 3 or 4 times per year. And that's how the relationships really succeed.
Okay, thank you. So are there any of these vehicles coming out of Canada?
From a manufacturer standpoint, potentially a few, but we can make sure that doesn't happen. We have all the we have all the control of that, what we need.
And the only reason I bring that up, I had some friends buy some farm trucks.
Yeah.
They'd save money and they went to Canada, instead of buying their local United States government.
Yeah.
But there's a big change in these vehicles for their standards and what our standards are. It costs them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
And the tariff conversation's coming in.
that tariff's another one, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, you look back the last 6 years, it's unbelievable what we've seen in the vehicle industry. And again, all that data gets fed to us, and we're bringing those recommendations proactively to our folks.
So how is your program different than, let's take back 10 years ago? You could lease a vehicle, a consumer could go lease a vehicle, pretty close to cheaper than actually buying it. But recently it's changed so bad that you take the vehicle in, you drive it 1 year or 2 years, you're allowed so many miles to drive it.
Yeah.
You pay so much a month for that vehicle. And then when you return it in, if you don't return it in exactly like you took it out,
Yeah.
there's costs incurred to that.
Of course.
And so
Yeah.
that made it pretty prohibitive.
So I want to be very, very clear. This is not a net lease. The net lease is what you're talking about, and we have that option available, but I will never recommend that to this team. The equity lease is what we're discussing today. So if we sell that vehicle and it's beat to hell, you're going to get less equity, but there's no fees or penalties. You keep it really nice, you're going to get more equity. We're evaluating these as commercial type vehicles that we know that are going to get beat up. Okay, we're a very conservatively family-owned company from that standpoint. There is no mileage penalty. So if you put on 30,000 miles and we estimated 10,000 miles, there's no penalty, but same as if you buy that car outright, you're going to get less equity. Right? We put 100,000, we thought we were going to do 50, of course you're going to get less equity, right? But it's all about the equity of the vehicle. But again, that's why on the enterprise website, the team will have all that data. My team is digesting all that data. We're leveraging those mileage patterns. Hey, we need to get out sooner. We need to get out longer. And all that comes into the relationship piece of it. But it's completely different. There's no fees for wear and tear, over mileage, early termination. It's not a traditional lease. It's an equity lease.
So the markets today, and we've seen in the last 3 years, automobiles, actually more than 3 years, have gone up. You couldn't lose.
Yeah.
But what happens if the market reverses and things
Yeah.
start dropping down?
That did happen to some extent because there's a correlating factor with the government incentives in the resale market, right? So as the resale market goes down, the government incentives go up. Okay, so that typically puts you at a good position, similar to the stock market. We want to buy low, sell high. That's essentially what we're looking at. But as, let's say, the world falls apart, as it kind of did over the last couple of years in some scenarios, we can extend out longer. We can do exactly as you're doing today. And that's where it might be at some point in time, a 10-year model that we're recommending, right? And we might make that recommendation to extend out longer, just like we'll make the recommendation to get out sooner. So that's why I love having this conversation on the front end and then having this regularly with the team. The model that we're proposing is absolutely going to change. And I want you to be okay with that from the standpoint that next year, it might make sense to get out earlier. It might make sense to extend out longer. And as the world changes, as the resale market changes, as the government incentives change, that's what we're bringing to your table. And that's the flexibility. If you have that flexibility and you have the knowledge that this is going to change and we're flexible, there's a lot of financial advantages. We don't have to do that. We can always customize this to a set amount, but if you have that flexibility, there's a lot of benefits.
And we talked about this before we had this meeting today. We have a question from Barb Barrett online. Does Enterprise Fleet Services cut out the local dealers and service centers when spending for county dollars locally economic? What would the economic development? So
No,
could you touch on that?
We actually partner. Most of the dealerships look at us as a partner. Historically, the county as a whole with this segment of vehicles has been procuring about 4 vehicles, right? Maybe we do 2 here, 2 there, some used, some out of pool, some, all different procurement models. We're not keeping the local dealers in business from that standpoint. So most of the dealers, when we go and we do 17 or we do 30 vehicles year one, we deliver those vehicles to the local dealership, they get a courtesy delivery fee. Okay, so we get to drop them off at the dealership, it goes through that dealership, we pay them, all of that stuff. So we're actually, in most scenarios, the dealerships are making more money than if you went out and just bought those 4 vehicles each year. Then all the warranty work for the new vehicles is going through them. And then if we change over to our maintenance programs, then we're leveraging those local dealers, and the local dealers are on that program. So almost all of the dealerships that we partner, not all, but majority of the dealerships, like I mentioned, at least 15,000 last year throughout the country, are a partner of ours, not a competitor of ours. If we need to buy from a local dealer from a stock perspective, we can do that. We've got great relationships with the local dealers, and we actually bring them more value in most scenarios from a government perspective.
I'm going to add to that. The cost that they sell the vehicle to us, a government institution, at is a very low profit center for them. So in fact, the money for the delivery fee, I think the way you worded it in Salina anyway, I'm not going to speak for who it was, but they ended up making more money doing the delivery fee than they did actually selling the vehicles. So, and the service agreements, obviously, that tie into that, and the warranty work, as you said. So we did ask that question, Barb. So just to address it, and I think this actually, you don't get these very often, but to me, this is a win-win, in my opinion. It saves the county some money, gives some local guys some work. I think we all walk away and we're leveraging, and why that's able is we're leveraging Enterprise's buying power. That's how this all really comes together. So it's a partnership, so to speak.
I'll add, just for a second, when I was meeting with all the departments also, everyone was very mindful about the type of units they were purchasing. And so if there was ever an opportunity where they could swap out a certain maker model to make sure that it helped the local dealerships, they were doing that. And so we were trying to fit in as many models where we would actually probably see more units that would actually be serviced or delivered through our local dealerships than what we are today, because really all the department heads really looked at that and tried to see how many places we could add that in if that was possible. So that was a benefit as well.
I would also remind you, there are certain vehicles that we are not able to purchase locally because of the type of vehicle that they are, in particular, the fleet for the sheriff's office because of the police package. So that is another piece of this as well.
So for cash flow, I can understand this makes a lot of sense. We're keeping a lot of money in the bank, not paying out as much money for the vehicles. But what determines the value of the vehicle this county is going to have and the vehicle you're going to have? What do you use the same chart, the same specs on the value?
From a resale perspective?
The county has vehicles they're going to trade in, and they're going to take a vehicle from you on some kind of a lease type purchase.
If you go to the spreadsheet,
Which one do you want?
Excel document,
Let me bring it up. Hang on. I can find it here.
answer the question
This
a
one?
little differently. Yeah, if you go to the first tab,
Hang on, I can't see the tab.
well, long and short, so on the first tab, I went through with each department head and we spec'd out every single vehicle. We made recommendations. We talked about what they need that from a tool standpoint, what vehicle they actually need. Then we analyzed that.
Sure,
Right here.
yeah.
So again, every single department on the left-hand side, you'll see the replacement vehicle. And then we went to that for admin, for road and bridge, for sheriff, so forth. We took that vehicle and we spec'd that vehicle out together on this sheet. Then I built that in my system based on the recommendation, the holding pattern, the mileage pattern. And then we went through on my system and we spec'd that vehicle out with the exact options, running boards, spray and bed liner, whatever it be. And then we had that conversation. Again, I made some recommendations for a certain vehicle and they said, hey, let's do this because the local dealership or whatever it be Then I took that into the next budget model for you. So if you go to the next tab,
Okay.
apologize.
No, you're fine. Hang on, let me find my mouse keeps moving around on.
Yep, so right here, then I broke that out per department and I said, okay, for admin, this one Silverado, we've got it on a 36-month term. We've got the equity, estimated equity value from the replacement vehicle. Then we have a full 12-month span of $10,548. And then at term, we're going to sell that vehicle for a conservative amount estimate of $9,737. We got $2,000 worth of aftermarket on that vehicle, et cetera. So I build that out so each department knows from a budget perspective exactly what they're going to be spending. And then guess what? Next year, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the 30 vehicles, we're going to add the 6, we're going to add that additional there so that the budget is always very transparent. So each of those departments knows exactly what it is. Now, eventually, if we go back to the last model, you're going to see that the cash flow, to your point, is going to go greater than buying one vehicle this year as we had planned. Okay, so very quickly, you're going to spend more from a capital outlay standpoint than buying one vehicle. But if we're accounting for the equity that's tied up in the fleet today, and then we're accounting for the equity as we sell these vehicles 3, 4, 5 years down the road, maybe even sooner, and then we reduce our operational expenses with maintenance and fuel. When we take all of those variables into consideration, there's about a $680,000 savings on that PowerPoint model that I put there, if we're taking all of those variables into consideration. That's proof of concept. That's in the days dollar. We've already changed that model. That's just big picture of what you're doing today against the equity lease model and going from a 15-year-old cycle or 12-year cycle on average to a 5 or less year cycle. That's where that savings is coming from. But really, we've taken all those different pieces into consideration, and then it's really customized, as you can see. And that's why I said the team spent a lot of time with me building this out and making sure it's the right tool for the job, the right aftermarket equipment, the right vehicle, all those different variables.
But, so you're telling me the value of the vehicle that the county will be trading in will be determined by the sale of that vehicle?
The value of your current vehicle today?
That will be turned in against another vehicle.
Yeah.
That value is not determined by a Kelly Blue Book, anything. It's determined by what it will bring at auction or you sell.
Yeah, so we're just very conservative estimates. So if you go to that spreadsheet, we have conservative estimates on all those in today's dollars. And then we have it broken out in those future years dollars. So very comfortable and confident when my team puts numbers on vehicles, we're uber conservative. So worst case scenario, when we sell that vehicle, that's what you're going to get. At the end of the day, the market's the market. We can set floors. We have a lot of different ways that we can manage that. But at the end of the day, yes, we're not magicians. A lot of those 10 to 20-year-old vehicles are going to go through our auction channel, and they are what they are. The real value from a resale perspective, once we get into the newer vehicles, we get into the enterprise vehicles, and we're selling them 1 to 5 years old. That's where we bring a lot of value to the table from a resale side.
And Ron, I'm going to kind of add to that. There's a lot of references and case studies on the backside of your big handout there.
I haven't had a chance to
That. So the proof of concept is in the work itself, and I think there's enough case study and references here to at least conclude that the concept does work. I don't think this amount of people would be doing it if it didn't.
Yeah.
And really, what gets me is the equipment for the sheriff and the medical vehicles. That's the big part of this. They don't have to go drop it off. They don't have to go pick it up. It gets here to them ready to roll. They hit a deer, and if I'm right, we have a replacement within, what was the time frame if we need an emergency replacement vehicle?
Oh, yeah.
It all depends on what we're looking for, right? And we search the country. We've got pool units, we've got unclaimed units, whatever it be. So we would be very transparent. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month.
I remember we talked, if we had an emergency situation, we could maybe end up pulling a used vehicle that you already have and get it put in and get relatively back up and going pretty quickly.
Very quickly. And we have a full rental fleet.
God forbid we ever lose 4 or 5 PIUs in a day, but it's probably possible if we have a bad disaster, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about. What would have to happen is Jerry would have to go out and go find 4 or 5 vehicles,
And we know that's difficult at times.
Well, I see the working mechanism, but the dollars is what I'm concerned about. Sure. Coming in and going out. I mean, I got the projection that we can all make projections and we do it all day long.
Of course.
But the bottom line is what's going to happen in the year.
Yeah, and I think that brings up a good point. We're looking at buying 1 to 2 of these 48 vehicles this year, right? We're talking about 30 vehicles coming in this year through the enterprise model. So again, the soft dollars of your employees' time, these folks' time, all that is not baked into that. We're very conservative. So again, my thing, Mr. Roller, would be if we were $680,000 off, I would still tell you that there's a lot of value and a lot of additional financial savings that come into play. And again, I think it's just getting this team in a safer, more efficient, better image. We talked a little about that, less downtime, just better tools. So I'm not even saying that there needs to be a huge I think there is a huge financial advantage in this scenario, but in a lot of scenarios, I'm break even. And that's okay, right? And again, we can do what you're doing. We can always change this model down the road. But I think the conversation is we're recommending in the 26 budget year, bringing in 30 vehicles versus 1 or 2 that you're going to get here, and then really operating at a professional level. And all those things that you just talked about, we're taking off your plate to run this at a professional level. But I agree, there's some risk involved from the standpoint of that's a model, right? That's not. I'm 100% confident that's not perfect.
So what you're telling me, you're a nonprofit then?
Not that. We are a for-profit company, I'll tell you that. But, and I think there's a lot of transparency. Now, that model is built with our profit structure.
I understand.
Somewhere I look at it this way, if, let's say the used car market bellies up and becomes real bearish and it's bad, and we're not getting our money back. At the very bare minimum, you have new vehicles ready to go and they're on a lease program and you're still within your budget, so to speak. So at the end of the day, we say this isn't working. It's not like we're going to lose the vehicles. It's not like we're going to lose the program. So
I'll tell you my experience. My experience here, actual experience, nothing what somebody told me, was the availability to get vehicles, the price of the vehicles, and sometimes the quality. We've had some quality issues with new vehicles. So those have been some of the big issues. And obviously, we always look at the costs.
Absolutely.
And those are things that really affect, that we see. A lot of things in the technical stuff, I understand. You don't have the mechanics available at times. You got to have vehicles that are trustworthy, that you can take out in the middle of the night or wherever the emergency may be, so on and so forth. So yeah, a lot of good points there. Don't misunderstand me. I understand that. So.
Just to that point as well, we had the same questions, Ron, and when we did talk to Jacob Woods in Salina, that was something he did touch on. He said the dollars that were presented to them ended up being very conservative and that they actually did blow, everything came out on top, far above what was being projected. So I will say, at least in that case, when I talked to that reference, as Ken did mention that they have conservative projections, I think from what I've seen from that example, it was true. And so with the city of Salina, they did come out and they were almost all projections that were presented to them up front. So that
I
was a good
think
thing.
we have a little bit more control, if you will, with this than when we go out and try to sell on our own, even using the agencies that we have used in the past.
and we have an equipment fund already, and we have a decent amount of reserve or equipment reserve in there.
And if I'm looking at it close, so right now I'm looking at we'll end the year somewhere around $2 million on our equipment reserve fund. And right now, next year, we were budgeting at about somewhere around $110,000 in additional equipment because we were pushing a lot out to try to keep the budget down as much as possible. So we kind of were trying to continue with some vehicles a little longer than probably initially planned. If you take off this program, what I'm looking at is my projections based on the numbers that we're receiving and then some anticipation that we're not going to receive all of those vehicles at the beginning of the year, so we're not going to be paying a full 12-month lease on that. I'm kind of budgeting somewhere around 70% model off of what was being projected on here. I'm looking somewhere between an additional maybe $50,000 to $95,000 that might come out of the equipment reserve next year than what we were originally planning. But that's a difference of purchasing 2 vehicles and then somewhere between that $50,000 to $95,000 of bringing in 30 vehicles in that first year. So it's a pretty significant difference. And so I think, and a lot of that had to do with, we're actually equipping a lot of police vehicles in that first term, where after, if we were able to look out in the future into years 3 or 4, and we start rotating some of those vehicles out. If they're the same vehicles, hopefully some of that police equipment might be able to actually transition into the next model. And so we may have some savings in equipment on our, as those leases move forward in the future that we're not seeing on this first one. So we're looking at some additional costs this first time around. And I still think from a financial and budget standpoint, it's really looking good so far based on the situation we're in financially.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
We need to get moving here. We got our staff report, but thank you and our elected report as well. Thank you for coming in today, Tim. All right. Who wants to go first? Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Marcia Schneider, Human Resource Director. I'm going to start listing with our open positions. We have 10 so far. We still have 4 down in dispatch. We keep working to get that remedy down there. We have 1 in the sheriff's department, a deputy. We still have 2 corrections officer positions open in the jail. We have a paralegal in the attorney's office. We have an equipment operator in Road and Bridge, and we are advertising for the billing clerk at EMS because Barb will be retiring at the end of the year. So we're hoping to get someone in to start training with her. Some of the things I'm working on, I'm finalizing the plan for staff development day on Monday. So that will be a fun day for us. I'm working on the open enrollment book to have that ready. Katie, our brokers, said that they should have numbers from for the renewal next week. So we will be looking to meet with them next week and get that ball rolling. Hopefully the numbers come in well for us. And I'm also in the process of reviewing our performance evaluation templates. I've sent those to the managers to review so we can get evaluations scheduled at the end of the month and get that going. And that's pretty much all I have right now.
So Marcia, are you saying there's a possibility of you switching insurance company?
I don't believe that's going to be the case. No.
They're just, I think Blue Cross, we've had some high claims this year. And I think they're waiting to get as many claims in
Yes.
for those numbers before they give us a projection. But they told our broker they're expecting numbers the second week of October.
We just want to make sure we have as much data available for them to go out and work on our behalf.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. Leah Hearn, County Treasurer. I'm in our office. Our driver's license schedule is staying very busy. We're about a week and a half for scheduling people to renew. In our treasurer's office, we have our last distribution for the 24 tax year. That will be submitted on October the 23rd. And then I'll do the balancing, the abstract for that year. So we're ready for taxes again. In the motor vehicle, we have state reviews every year. And in our district, we had ours like in the spring, and they go over transactions that maybe they had questions on, or maybe wasn't quite done correctly. And then we talk about that, and it's kind of a learning thing. Well, they gave out awards this year. And in our commercial system, Dickinson County placed 3rd.
Nice.
So out of 22 counties, so I thought that was really good. And let's see, our printers, we were having problems with our printers in our office. IT was able to get that fixed. A big thank you to them. Our printers are a little different because all of our things that we go to print, it goes to the state, then has to come back. So they had to deal with the state IT, which is sometimes, or most of the time, kind of difficult. So they got that.
That was very diplomatic, Leah.
For approving titles, my title approvers were behind about 2 weeks. So it's just because office has been really busy and a few vacations. And so we're hoping to get that caught up. And let's see, it was Tuesday of this week, our motor vehicle system was down from the state for about 2 hours. That was all over the state. So people had to come back. And let's see, on tomorrow, I'll be going to a district meeting in Republic County. And there'll be 2 motor vehicle state employees there to answer our questions and go over anything. So we're hoping to get some good responses to that. And the 29th of this month, I'm on a committee for the state treasurer. So we're going to put on a little learning class for all the new treasurers that are coming in, because we had like 28 of them retire. That will be next week when they get re-elected, or they get appointed, not appointed, elected into the position, because ours is October where everyone else is January. That's it.
Did you want to?
I'll just do that another time.
Okay.
Maybe talk about that.
Okay.
Maybe later.
Morning, Jerry Davis, I'm the sheriff. I know why Marcia wanted to go first, because she's going to talk about the open positions in the jail and makes her presentation longer than mine. So those 2 are off my list. The big thing I want to talk about today is this Saturday, we have the annual Faith in Blue event. We're holding it in Solomon, at the Solomon City Park. Basically, we've got, it's law enforcement, EMS, and fire are all making pulled pork, and we're having a cook-off. And each person that shows up gets 3 free sliders, bag of chips, bottle of water, and then they vote on the best slider. And then we've got a trophy that we've got finally in that we're presenting. It's kind of a traveling trophy that'll go to the entity that wins the cook-off every year. Following the cook-off, we got Terrell Roach. He's a comedian / inspirational speaker. He's going to come in. He's going to basically MC the event. We've got a comedian that's going to be coming in and presenting a stand-up routine of some sort. And then we've got a musician from Salina, Jerron Bell, that's going to be coming in to do sort of a little mini concert over at the Solomon City Park. It's going to be a great event. Last year we had it in Chapman, and it was huge fun. It really was. We had different presenters, but it was really a good time. So I encourage everybody to come out to Solomon. We're going to start serving the sliders at 5:30, and then I think the entertainment starts at 6 o'clock. But the Faith in Blue event's going to be a pretty big deal again this year. The next thing I want to talk about is our Kansas law enforcement accreditation. We've been fighting for the last year and a half, 2 years to try to become accredited. We're in the process now of our mock assessment. On October 21st, they're going to be here and basically do an on-site mock assessment. It's going to give us kind of a status as to where we are in the accreditation program. And hopefully by April of next year, we'll be fully accredited if everything goes right and we stay on schedule. I think that's a pretty huge deal, and my hat's off to Bailey Huffman and Under Sheriff Vaughn for taking that and running with it, basically handling everything on that. So I'm in the process of preparing a request for proposal, an RFP for medical services for the jail. It's not that we're dissatisfied with our current medical services. It's just that we've had them for many, many years. And it's kind of a good practice to test the water to see what else is out there, to see if maybe we can't get better services and also maybe lower some costs. So I'm in the process of preparing the RFP. Once I get that all set up, I'll meet with Janelle and Marcus, make sure everybody's good there. We'll run it by legal. And then we'll kind of push out the dates as to when we think we'll perform that. That's what I'm looking at doing now. Last thing I've got is we're looking at a RFID program, which is basically a module kind of like a cell phone that our corrections officers are going to be able to take into the pod with them when they do jail checks. It logs the jail checks, who was there, if there's any issues with the inmates. It also will record medical, any meds that we provide to them, and it'll say whether or not they've accepted their meds, declined their meds. It's just going to be from a liability standpoint, it's going to give us a lot more information and data that we may need in the future. We're looking at that. We're trying to work with our phone company to see if we can piggyback off of the existing Wi-Fi. If not, they've got a unit that's basically a port that you plug it in. You just set it in the little cradle and it downloads all the data into the system. That might be something we're looking at. It may not have to go through IT or anything, might not have to bother Dustin. Other than that, that's all I've got, unless you guys have anything for me.
I do, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
Were you and Janelle interested in attending a meeting on the 15th at the Juvenile Detention Center, iron out some deals on the agreement between the Juvenile Detention Center?
I plan on going, but when you and I talked, I think you had something going on, but I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
I'll look at my schedule and see what time is it.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, yeah.
It was a gal.
You're getting lunch, right?
Gallon starts at 5.
Pardon me?
You're getting lunch?
You bet.
Yeah, but it's.
Long lunch.
I might be able to move some things around.
That's at 10.
Okay, I'll do some checking.
He's not, oh, the Faith and Blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'd go to the Faith and Blue, but we're going to the gala already.
October 11th.
Going to the what?
The Eisenhower Gala.
Oh,
I think
But I would be there if
it's
I,
been called off.
no, they're doing
They're
it.
moving it to the Elks Club.
Oh, okay.
okay.
I knew they couldn't do anything out there.
Yeah, because I think it starts at 5.
Yeah,
You're gonna miss a better time, I guarantee.
I know. It sounds like it. I need some barbecue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rose Jones, Sure Feeds.
Good morning.
Good morning. Been a busy couple of weeks in our office. That last week of September, CIC pushed an update to the RAP program, which is what our data service is for our contract holders and things. And they haven't been able to view documents or anything like that for the last couple of weeks. It's hit and miss. So we have emailed out probably over 120 documents in the last couple of weeks to our contract holders. So that's been keeping us busy with requests with that. For the month of September, we recorded 209 paper documents. We collected $6,917 in recording fees with that. We recorded mortgage amounts that came to 34 million. We had one mortgage for $8 million. It was up in the northeast corner of Liberty Township. It was for Campus 4-H Foundation. E-recording for the month of September, we have recorded 78 documents through that. We collected $7,879 in fees. Last year at the end of September, we had recorded 389 documents. This year at the end of September with e-record, we've recorded 539 documents. So we have a 42% document increase in e-record from the last year to this year. And a 32% increase in recording fees with that from last year to this year. We received 100 to date since we started the property fraud program. We've got 121 applications. That's just this year. To date for the whole thing since we started in 23, we were at 170. We did a little over 15 in the month of September, and we've gotten probably that many already this month. And I did put another little article in the paper about property fraud with some of the questions people have been asking, like how does it happen? What is it? What do I need to do if it does happen? So that'll be coming out in the paper. And then we're just continually backdating old documents and back indexing them. So that's where we're at. Anything else? All right.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Good morning, General. Opening and Mass. We'll start out with health. We'll talk about the problematic part of health first, and that's WIC. That WIC is a federally government entity that provides supplies and time and meetings and food supplies to people that need that. Talk a little about the good part of it. I guess maybe good part is that we've seen our caseload increase certainly with that. A lot of things go into that, that increasing food prices does. And, we've got a new WIC coordinator that's pretty aggressive in making sure that people are coming in, and also Junction City, Gary County quit their WIC program here within the last year. So we're getting some people from Geary County and our county. The bad side, downside to it is the government shutdown that cuts our WIC dollars off. So we are able to maintain payroll with our WIC person with workforce development grant that we have. But like everybody else, we hope that that shutdown is temporary. It could get into, soon we'll get into affecting vouchers and such for recipients as well, which is the downside to it. So vaccines that we've been given are comparable to what they were this time last year. We started the school vaccine program actually this morning. We borrowed Chancey's our old ambulance, a CERT vehicle that he has. We've done that the last several years. Works out really well. We pull it up to the school and the kids think it's cool to go in the old ambulance and get their shot. We take them in the back door and they go out the side door and we don't have to haul all of our supplies and equipment in the school and then back out. We simply can pull up to the school and have the kids come out and run through it. So started that this morning in Abilene, and we'll I'll be finishing up that. I think we have 16 different locations and 5 different school districts that we'll have. So that had just started. So the little about rabies exposures. We've had 8 referrals have been made for rabies exposures. We've had dogs, we've had cats, and we've had bats as our exposure. So and bats, there's a lot of bats around. And the rule goes, if you wake up in your bedroom and there's a bat in your bedroom, we treat that as you got bit. So that has to be a follow-up. So there's bats out there. So anyhow, that's it with the health department. We're going to start getting into flu vaccines, like I said, with the schools, but obviously we'll have one, a couple clinics, one we set up here in Abilene and one down in Harrington. So we'll be setting those up as well. And of course, we'll have the one at our session next week for employees. I will remind any department head, I think we have 7 or 8 is all we have signed up for those so far this year. So remind your employees that if you want one, to let us know. That way we take it out. I mean, we always take extra for the people that realize that day that they want it, but let us know, or remind your people that to let us know so we can make sure we have enough when we go down. So.
Our nurses are good. They don't usually hurt you.
And to fill out that form.
Yeah, fill out the form ahead. Yeah. Marcia sent out the form, so if you fill that out ahead of time, that'll save some time as well. So. Okay, EMS side, call volume remains high. I think dispatch can allude to that. So we've been pretty busy lately on that side of the building. Football standbys. I mean, it's that time of year where, we got jobs of football standbys to try to get to. Coming up too, we will have the normal fall trick or treat, trick or trunk, I guess is what they call it. Trunk or treat. But we got a lot of those. We got one at about every town's got one coming up. So typically the sheriff's office is there as well. I think EMS gets better candy than the sheriff's office.
Oh.
That up, Jerry.
Yeah.
You mentioned the ambulance being there at the football games, and I always think, well, that's great, and it's a good service, and I think people have a comfort level. But since I have a grandson that plays in the middle school, I didn't realize that you have ambulances at all of those games too. I mean, it makes sense. So I mean, they're out there, and I think it's good PR.
Right, it is, and we do get paid. We don't charge them a lot, but they do reimburse some of our costs of being out there. Typically, though, sometimes it's not, but if it's a duty truck on, then we're understanding that if it's cut, we charge them per half hour. And if it gets called away from the game, which that will happen, because there's usually a couple nights, if we have 5 games, every school district has a home game. So we have every truck that we got sitting at a football game. So if an emergency call comes in, well, then the closest truck will leave the game and go to the call. So that puts that school without a truck. It's not required by CASA, does not require that there's an ambulance at any football games. Butler County doesn't sit at any football games. I think is an advantage that we do, and I think that the patrons appreciate that. But we will occasionally have to leave and I think we've not gotten any flack over that. People just know that we have to go on emergency call that's happening. So then we try to get back as soon as we can if it's still, the game's still in session, so. And obviously, if we had if somebody was hurt, we'd have to rotate around from another school.
Mhm.
So that does keep us pretty busy. New monitors, we got our new monitors. They're in a box sitting in my office, but the gal was out yesterday that the salesman was, and she's gonna come back to the training on those. So those have been delivered and get those put in service soon. We did meet with on the MIH stuff, on mobile integrated healthcare. We met with I'll preface that by saying Dr. Holmes got through all of our policies, procedures, protocols, and approved all of those. We met with the clinic staff, the physicians, and the mid-levels at the hospital or at the clinic yesterday to fill them in. Talked to Dr. Samuels, which is the head medical director at Kansa at Junction, which covers the Chapman clinic over there. And they're anxious. So we're going to go over there next because they're anxious to get started as well. So we're progressing on that. I would say that we're probably going to start seeing patients next month. So easily. So everything's falling into place, and they all have a list of people they want us to see. So I think we're going to jump right into it. Pretty busy. So
Hey, John.
yes,
Time.
okay. Jerry controls my time.
It's because I asked you a question or brought it up.
Anyhow, so that's what we're doing. Training on Health Call. We signed a contract through the grant with Health Call, which is going to be our data collection program. We're training on that. That's for MIH as well. That's going to be the integration tool where the physicians can send us patient information, and we can send them, and we'll make a house visit. We can send them that information back. So next week we'll start working on that. So with our people. So that's going to be big as well. I'll be attending that. NAMT has their National Association of EMT has their annual meetings at a big conference, a national conference every year. It's in a couple of weeks in Indianapolis. I'll be there. And they have 7,000 EMS personnel from across the country go to those conferences. So it's a big conference. So I'll be there for that. And a couple of days ago, I was contacted by the National Rural Health Association's member that deals with EMS. And he wanted to put me as his proxy for their working on the American Ambulance Association, working on a new payment plan for ambulance service. So I need to talk to him further about that, but maybe his proxy for as they jump into that. So that is what I have. Any questions?
I think so.
Jerry failed to mention that EMS did win the barbecue cook-off last year.
Returning champ, huh?
Oh, he just failed to mention it. I assume they'll hold the trophy another year. So we got a new cooker this year. So.
Rivalry.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Guys.
See ya. Thank you.
Good morning. Piper, 911 director. I've been here a few months now, so over the last couple months, we're just working on finding what our new normal is. I'm learning them, they're learning me, my expectations. But with all of that, the culture has really shifted downstairs, and I hear a lot of feedback on that as well. So I'm glad it's not just me thinking that, it's outside people as well. But what I mean by that is really going up for a while in dispatch. There's a lot of tension, kind of a negative culture. So I'm really proud of that aspect. It's really hard to do when they're understaffed, working a lot, and not getting a lot of feedback. And then you bring in someone new in the source, they bring in changes, change is hard. So to be able to report that culture is going up is huge for me. We've really focused on what our vision is of our little team, and everyone's working towards that. We were staffing is the big thing downstairs. So I was proudly going to report that we were on the upside of staffing. And then this week happened, and We are not on the upside of staffing any longer. And as Marsha pointed out, we're pretty much still at 4 where I started at, but we have a lot of things in the work. We got a new ad out. A lot of people in this room helped me with some interviews lately. We're bringing back Critical. It's a testing quality. When someone applies, they don't have to come in any longer because some people who do get applying don't live in Abilene or the Dickinson County. So this is a proctor test that they could get through email, take it at home. That really focuses on, do they have the basic skills of what it takes to be a dispatcher, and then we can build upon that instead of just filling seats and then leading towards a couple months later we lose them because it wasn't quite what they imagined. I always joke, not a lot of people grow up and set their eyes on being a dispatcher. It's just something that you land into. So we just want to make sure the skills are there and that we're not just filling a temporary role and be back in the same situation again. So with that, as we slowly go through all of our processes downstairs, as I learn different things, we're making some changes, we're making them more efficient, updating things, listening to what our agencies want that we dispatch for and trying to bring in some of those changes. With that, we've had a lot of positivity. One of those big things was self-dispatching functions. So a lot of the law enforcement agencies were appreciative to bring that in. They've been trying for a while. It brings in some good things for dispatch as well. Dispatch used to have to do everything for the officers, on shift them, off shift them, put them out on breaks. They can now do all that on their own. Just take some of that busy work off of the dispatchers, especially when we went down to 1 at times. It also brings in a lot of security features that the law enforcement had brought in. They don't have to go over the radio and state where they're going out on some things. It can just be done mobilely. So that's good for some security stuff. Another one is just doing away with a lot of duplication that we had downstairs. Simply, one was just a cleaning feature. Kind of brought it in during COVID, I learned. We weren't able just to get the sanitizing wipes, so we brought in another cleaning, but now that's not being utilized and we just spend money on it monthly. So as we learn things, we just do away with the duplication because that's something we're not using. That saves a couple $100 a year. With that, as the year's ending here, I keep getting some invoices for different things to keep next year. As I ask dispatch, what is this? If it's Virtual Academy, some of the dispatchers that have been there for a couple of years have never used Virtual Academy. So then I'm reaching out to those companies like, what is that you do for us? This one happened to be a training platform. I have a lot of I bring in training from some other stuff and things that work well and don't cost as much. So that would be an invoice that we just do away with. So there's a couple more few $1,000 savings and stuff like that. This month I was able to give call reviews back to the dispatchers with feedback. That's been something they hadn't had for a while. Even though it's sometimes hard to see what you need to change or areas that they could grow, they're looking at it positively as a learning opportunity. So all good stuff. For September, we had about almost 1,800 calls that came in for dispatch. That's of course ranging law enforcement, the 4 agencies or 13 fire departments in EMS, but seems to be pretty typical, but that it is sometimes a bigger number than people think of what our dispatch does put out. With those, a few of those have been relatively critical lately. So what I mean by that is it either took multiple responding units, agencies, they were in progress, duplicate pages, critical patients, multiple patients on some accidents, helicopter callouts, and the feedback that dispatch has been receiving on those calls from everybody is great. Their quick response, their CAD narratives are complete. So I'm just really proud of them. Let's go and get that out of this. And then along with that, we just brought in a lot of communication and support from all of the agencies that we dispatch for. And that was one of my primary goals coming into it. So just very happy with where we're sitting currently after a few months. So any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No chewing, clapping, or booing.
There you go.
Cheering, sorry, I said chewing.
That's okay.
Morning, Justin Parks, I'm the IT director. I'll make mine pretty quick. There's some pretty big topics in terms of stuff we've been working on for a while. First off, the firewall swap is complete. We finally squashed, for the most part, the issues we were experiencing on the internal side of the network, but it did kind of shine some lights on some issues with our, what I'll call our external network, like satellite locations. So we're in the process of looking at how we can streamline that process and save some money in the process. Because we're looking at, we basically right now, we pay Vive to handle a lot of the communication between like health department building and the road and bridge department in our building. But with our new firewall, we're actually able to handle a lot of that ourselves. And so we might be able to save some money by changing the providers. And because right now we pay almost $1,800 a month for the privilege of Vive to have those communications. And I think we can probably knock that down to closer to probably $1,000 a month, if not less. It all kind of depends on what Vive will charge us or what Twin Valley would charge us for the connections. So we're hoping to cut some back there. In that vein, because of some of the changes we've made on the network on the internals, and some of the, last year we got that Albert server, which is that, what they call a mirror server, where it scans ports and keeps an eye on our traffic. Because of that, our original, I talked about us getting Microsoft licensing, then moving to the full 365. That was going to be about 60 grand for the licensing that we were going to require. Right now we're paying about 15. And because of the security stuff we've been able to put in place at a far cheaper rate, some of it single time cost, like this, the firewall upgrade, that kind of thing, we're looking at the new licensing level that we can get will probably be about 18,000 a year. If not, I'm going to say 20 to be safe, but we think it's about 18,000 a year. So that's about a $40,000 a year projection reduction in what we were initially going to be spending on that licensing. And for that, we get the same services. It's just the, for the most part, the security stuff on the back end. So because we've got that in place and we're managing it ourselves, we don't have to worry about spending the extra money to Microsoft to manage some of that. And then as part of that, the Lenovo servers are delivered. They're downstairs. They're not installed yet. We're still negotiating with Lenovo on getting that done. They kind of, through no fault of their own, undersold us on the licensing that we would need. So we have virtual machines. Right now, we technically have 54 servers. And most of them are virtual. We have 47 virtual machines. And we have software that manages those. A company bought that software. It used to be owned by the namesake of the company, which is vSphere and vCenter. And a company called Broadcom bought them. And licensing went from $8,000 a year to $45,000. No service changes. Matter of fact, they went to basically a software as a service model. So we paid $8,000 for a perpetual site license. And they're asking for $45,000 a year. So that's what we were initially looking to use to swap over and maintain that. But now we're looking at other avenues for different virtual machine management software. And Lenovo's helping us with that. They're going to help us with that migration. But it may turn out that we have to do that migration ourselves. And if that's the case, we'll get a refund from Lenovo on the services that we've already paid for with the migration. So, but just being able to not have to, and it's taken almost 4 months to get that licensing quote from Broadcom. And we had to get Lenovo involved because Pace and CDW aren't big enough for Broadcom anymore. You know, they're like, no, you can't do that. You have to have XYZ number of customers, XYZ number of devices for us to even warrant getting you a quote. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out. We have until February, that's when our Dell server stuff goes from being supported to, if we have an issue, we have to pay Dell to come up and fix the servers. So it's not dire that we get it done by February. It's just good financial sense to get it done before then, so we're not in a lull of support. But other than that, we're going to start the tenant migration soon. That goes hand in hand with that licensing. I'll describe more about that on Monday because that'll be fun. But otherwise, that's what we've got going on. You guys got any questions?
Thank you, Justin.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, everybody. appreciate it.
Jennifer, might have-
Yeah, in the middle of this, I was thinking of that.
but we only have 7 minutes, so Jerry, timekeeper.
It was John, I know.
Good thing Shannon.
Okay, Jennifer Gaten, County Clerk and Elections Office. All budgets have been submitted on time. We are now proceeding with the next phase, which involves finalizing the November abstract and setting the final levies to produce tax statements. Additionally, we are preparing for the general election on November 4th. I want to remind all voters that the deadline to register to vote for the general election is next week, Tuesday, October 14th. Early voting, also starts next week, whether in person or by mail on Wednesday, October 15th. For those interested in receiving a mail-in ballot, please call our office to request an application or visit our website at www.bkcoks.gov/elections. You can find the relevant information under the voter assistance tab.
Probably jump up here too. You know, we heard from me a little bit this morning, but since we have 6 minutes, just to touch on right now, I think last month I mentioned that we're going through the KCAM annual renewal. So I'm working on all the property and equipment lists there. So just this week, Janelle and I were able to get out and see all of the county property, review that, make sure that everything's accurate. We'll get the building that's put up on 1700 added to our insurance. That's just the tractor shed for the mowing tractors that moving as we're coming off of that, the 1400 shed that's currently at the Old Summer School. Recovery Court, working on some information with some of those individuals to hopefully put together a grant. I'm working with some input from Patty O'Malley. She's helping with wording on a grant to see if we can find some access to additional funding from the Sunflower Foundation in the future to continue those operations, and any additional funding that we can receive for that. I think it's going to be a positive thing. So we're going to take a shot at that. And also I may be bringing a budget amendment to you for the 2025 budget in the next upcoming weeks. The sales tax communication project that passed, I had originally budgeted that more of those expenses would come out actually in 2024 prior to the 2025 budget, since some of those, the equipment on the towers didn't actually get here and wasn't received until 2025. Then that's going to where we're going to end up going over what was budgeted for 2025, but that's just due to the fact that those costs rolled into 2025 from 2024, and I was anticipating those costs would have been the year prior. And outside of that, our sales tax remains flat last year, which I think is a positive thing. We have in the past seen some pretty decent increases in our sales tax, and so after all of the grocery sales tax now being removed, for us to be remaining flat this year, I think is actually a very positive thing. And so I was really happy to see those results through the first 9 months. That's all I have.
Just to add a little bit on the radio communication project, I think it should all be wrapping up around November 7th as the new updated date. But Adelaine's pretty much completed, and then they're moving on to the other one.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
I think so.
Thank you all. Literally in the middle of that, I was like, I gotta call on Jennifer. We never call on Jennifer.
I figured I'd get it in my notices if I don't get it now.
And then Jerry got me thinking about how
Yeah. I was like, what time?
I know,
Oh,
I
we
would
got
honestly, I would love to go. I would love to keep going.
I did not know exact things on today. It's like I put it on the calendar.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll just come in so we can talk about it. We don't need a motion or anything because it's a state function.
That's what I figured too.
Yeah, so I just want to give you guys a heads up so that you know what
Yeah.
you're going for, you know, in case somebody says.
Almost more of a public,
What's that?
almost more of an announcement.
Oh, yes, I would do that, put something in the newspaper, radio, maybe one of the Wednesdays when Janelle goes over to the radio, we go and talk about that.
Okay.
And I think when you explain it, that those fees are now going to be put on motor vehicle customers instead of on your affluent customers, because it should help that cost cut the cost over on the
Well, if you want,
treasurer's.
we can get you in study next week.
Okay,
If you want to have a portion.
yeah. Should be good.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of what my schedule was, but it should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go ahead.
so we-
I'll ask Janelle to do that.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Piece I put in the mail. Is that
Yes.
anything I need to announce? I didn't read it.
I
I
didn't,
just got an email and I thought,
it
eh,
was,
this
no,
is
it was
the
the,
actual
from
email.
the, yeah, we already accepted
Okay,
that.
so it's fine.
I
Don't
think
worry
we're
about
fine.
that. Okay. I thought I'd ask you guys before we get to that.
Because to me, no, I don't think so.
All right. Mhm.
You were doing. So it's usually.
Yeah, I can read it. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
You want me to read that?
Yeah, if that's,
Careful, Liz.
yes, yeah, that's just, I may grab back at the end to see it's on the other side of it. I just wrote my.
It's something, it's the
I think I've
spreadsheet.
got the extra, oh no, we're good, I've got another copy of that.
Nope, I can do that. No problem.
It's another time to let you know.
Yeah, we're going, man. Right now. Call this meeting to order if it all rise from flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We move down to the approval of the agenda. We have one proclamation today. And we also are considering voting delegate and alternate for K-Camp annual meeting, as well as authorizing staff on enterprise fleet management. Do I have a motion to approve agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda, the minutes are provided for you in your packets, Commissioners, of October 2nd meeting. Payroll this week of $413,234.97. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ron,
Aye. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, good throwing up. Shake it up a little bit. Moving down to Commissioner comments, community reports. I'll go ahead and kick it off. I didn't really have a busy week last week to report here. I did for work, but we don't want to hear about that. So the only thing I'll mention is that we are attending the Eisenhower Gala this weekend, which I believe has been moved to the Salina Country Club. Are
The Elks Club here in town.
you sure?
That's what I was told, yes.
Okay, it's either of those
But
locations.
it's Friday.
It's Saturday.
Saturday.
11th.
Saturday at 5. We're messing it up. It's somewhere, guys. No,
Put it on the website.
yes, we will.
Should get an email on that, but if not, let me know.
Yesterday, that's
Okay.
why I'm saying that.
Okay, okay,
Pretty sure it's in Salina.
okay.
That'll be at 5 o'clock is when that starts. I believe Commissioner Peterson will be in attendance.
No.
You won't.
I'm-
Oh, so we don't need to announce. No, okay. Oh, that's why I was announcing it. Never mind.
With
I thought you were
good
gonna-
public information.
Yep. That is all I have to report. Sorry, go ahead.
And I do not have a report this week.
I just want to report that harvest is rolling on a little bit slow, but everything seems to be safe. No accidents out there yet. We hope we don't have any this year. And the guys doing a great job on it. So,
Thank you, Ron.
yep.
Thank you, Lynn. We'll go ahead and move down to the proclamation for this month. Proclamation is to declare October a domestic violence awareness month. Do we have someone? Hello.
Hello, good morning.
If you would mind, could you come on up and announce yourself? And if you'd like, do you want to read the proclamation?
I would.
Please.
I'm Mary Cookson. I'm the victim advocate with Domestic Violence Association of Central Kansas, also known as DVAC. And I would like to present the proclamation today.
Thank you.
Whereas domestic violence is a widespread preventable public health problem impacting all demographics of Kansas, including Dickinson County. And whereas relationships are often counted as life's greatest treasures, and tragically, many are tarnished by one's feelings of entitlement to power and control over the other, resulting in violence and fear. And whereas domestic violence abusers violate an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity with their intentional, systematic use of financial, psychological, sexual, and physical coercive control and abuse. And whereas the U.S. Department of Justice reports domestic violence homicides comprise 14% of all homicides in the U.S., and that women are more than twice as likely as men to be killed by an intimate partner. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation reports 32 domestic violence homicides were 21.5% of all homicides in Kansas in 2023. And whereas in Kansas in 2023, a domestic violence abuser murdered another person every 11 days, 9 hours, 45 minutes, and 43 seconds. A domestic violence abuser committed a violent act reported to law enforcement every 23 minutes. Law enforcement also made an arrest due to domestic violence every 46 minutes. And whereas DVAC served 862 victims, 542 of which were from Saline County, and yet those numbers do not accurately reflect the total number of domestic violence victims, as many were still continuing to struggle against isolation and other impacts as a result of COVID-19. And whereas we, as the governing body of Dickinson County, do recognize this violence is inconsistent with our community values and cannot be ignored, excused, or tolerated. And whereas in declaring this month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we encourage all citizens to know the facts about domestic violence, to familiarize themselves with resources, to recognize subtle signs of control tactics, to act as safe support systems, to speak up against perpetrators of violence and any messages that inadvertently condone domestic violence, to get involved, to teach others and prepare future generations for healthy relationships, and to donate time or resources to those. Just asking that you declare October Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and motion that we would declare October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now therefore, we, the Dickinson County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
What are some of the resources as far as you work with other agencies here or the Sheriff's Department to identify situations like that?
If we get calls, I know we, for example, may get a call like from the Hope Center or from Neighbor to Neighbor or different individuals or law enforcement stating that there's an individual that may be in crisis or maybe in need of services. If we cannot get to the individual directly, then we'll set up a time. If something doesn't work right there, that moment, that hour or whatever, first off, we're going to make sure they're safe, that they have somewhere to safe to be, find out all its demographics, whether there's children involved, make sure they are somewhere safe, get to them as soon as possible. And if they're wanting to utilize services, get them established as a client and see what we can do to help them.
So are the calls more likely to come from the victim, or is it someone that observes that and so at least they notify you so you can assess the situation?
If there is somebody that is aware of somebody else, whether that's a family member or a friend that is dealing with a situation, whether that's domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, whether that's sex trafficking or labor trafficking, elder abuse, teen dating violence, or stalking, which are the things that we do. If they're aware of anybody that's experiencing one of those situations, we will just let them know we directly need to speak with the individual. If the individual's there, we'll ask them, can we speak to them? Are they able to speak to us? If not, we just give them the number and or an email address and ask them to get the information to the individual so that they can contact us. And then we can go from there to assess the situation and see how we can help.
Thank you.
So how are you funded?
We are everything is grant funded.
You see, hopefully you're not seeing any changes this year with that, I hope, or next year, I should say.
I can't speak on that end because I'm not in on that part of it. But I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see how that goes. Hopefully it won't be too impactful and hopefully it won't.
You are nonprofit though, so people could give contributions individually or groups.
And we do have a number of different activities that we're doing throughout the 10 counties that we serve. So,
Thank you for what you do.
thank you.
Would you like to get a picture real
I
quick?
would love to see if we could
Absolutely. Come on back here.
get on your
Take it
family.
either way.
You know, if you want to take a big read, and then I'll just have you send it to my email,
All
if
right.
you would, please.
Gives us understanding.
Hold the proclamation or not?
Yeah. Let's come on up here and we'll have it folded. Well, we should probably have it signed.
We do have one copy signed already for use.
There we go. Hey, we ready? Nice. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Over 10 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, I will double check if you've got one.
okay.
Yeah, thank you. Did you sign in too?
I will make.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to our public comment period of the meeting. If County Administrator Janelle Dockendorf would read the rules, please.
For the Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4317 and 75-4318A, as the elected board, the county commission is not allowed to meet or make any decisions without posting the meeting. They are only allowed to act on items on the agenda which they set. During their regular meeting, the county commission may allow for public comments on items not listed on the approved agenda. It is at the discretion of the county commission if they allow comments on agenda items. If you wish to provide comments, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address. If you are online, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. Please state your name and address. Each person may speak for 3 minutes. The allotted time will start after the speaker has given his or her name and address. Public comment shall be addressed to the county commission only and not to the speaker or the audience. Only the county commission will be permitted to ask the speaker questions. The public comment period is not a back and forth discussion with the county commission. You should make your views and input known to them, but it is not a time to ask them questions. You should not expect them to respond to your comments. Comments may express support or agreement with previous speakers, but in the interest of time, please do not repeat the same information. You may state something to the effect of your name and address and you agree with the previous speaker. It is important to maintain a respectful, non-threatening atmosphere for anyone who would like to speak. Please do not engage in such actions as cheering, booing, clapping, insults, threats, etc.
Don't think we're gonna have any comments today.
Doesn't look like it.
For those of you online, I'm looking at Marcus and Ken. I don't think they got any comments today. Okay.
No hands raised.
Why don't we go ahead and move on down to reports from county officers that I did not skip this week. Let's start with County Administrator Janelle Dockendorf.
No worries. So, Commissioners, real quick, Martin is attending a class through Kitty HE for environmental services, but he did ask me to let you know that the free cleanup last week, 343.93 tons of waste was brought through the gates. So he's going to give us a better number on the tires, which was excessive again. So just be aware of that, but we'll have good numbers on that. And also he had visited with you earlier when he did his department update and asked about the number of bridges that we have closed or redone, reclassified. And in 2010, we started up 322 that have to be inspected. And as of 2025, we're going to be at 280. So we've closed or reclassified quite a few of them, which certainly helps in that cost, but it's, yeah, it's one way for us to save money, but we have no choice that we have to do that. So, but just so you're aware of that. And there's a report there to show you where they were closed or restructured or reclassified. So as for the other things going on, Planning and Zoning Board meeting next week on October 16th at 7. Our appraiser is attending an ag use meeting, virtual meeting through PVD. The emergency manager went to Topeka and he brought in cots that will be stored in several locations in the event of a disaster. Found out last year, knock on wood, doesn't happen again, that we had a lot of use for them. So school vaccines have started, as John had reported, and the Public Works Department has been hauling gravel and they're hauling sand in preparation for winter. So getting ready for that. If you've been out in the hallway, our elevator is down, circuit board fried, so we're waiting on a replacement to come in. Hopefully it's up soon. And John also brought up that the WIC program is going to be impacted by the federal shutdown. So we're keeping an eye on that, and hopefully we can get some, get that back. The government will come back up and running. So because that is going to impact the voucher side, we are able to at least have a grant to pay for the nurse, but the vouchers are what's going to be impacted tremendously. And county offices will be closed Monday, October 13th for our annual staff development day. So any questions for me?
I don't believe so. I don't anyway. Commissioners? Thank you, Janelle. County count, well, we don't have, Doug is not here today, so no report from our county counselor. Any notices or communications today from Jennifer Gates?
Yes, I want to remind all voters that the deadline to register to vote for the general election is Tuesday, October 14th. Early voting, whether in person or by mail, begins on Wednesday, October 15th. For those interested in receiving a mail-in ballot, please call our office to request an application or visit our website at www.dkcoks.gov/elections. You can find the relevant information under the voter assistance tab.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move down to the consider voting delegate and alternate for K-Camp annual meeting. Janelle, do you want to summarize this maybe?
Sure. Since we participate through K-Camp, which is our insurance for property and liability in that, they hold an annual meeting in December during the Kansas Association annual conference. And as member owned, we have a voting delegate and an alternate for their annual meeting. And they're asking that as part of the bylaws that we designate someone to fill those positions. So in the past, it has been the two that attended. So this year it would be you and Lynn that will be in attendance. So just need to decide who would like to be the voting delegate and who would be the alternate.
So I'll make the motion that Kenny be the delegate and I will be the alternate.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? Ron, you sure?
I'm good.
You don't? Okay. Here you go.
You guys can handle it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So I'll be the delegate and Lynn will be.
Okay, I'll get the form signed and you sign
You
the
need
back
to
of it. Yeah, I think you have to sign it and then Jennifer has to attest.
Okay.
Get that taken care of.
Mr. Ron? Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, sometimes they have drones there too, and they give away nice little coffee cups or pens, something useful.
Nobody warned me how many committees and
Yes.
extracurricular activities we have.
But you're there anyway.
You are, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. No, that's not that big a deal. Do what we gotta do. Okay, as we discussed in the study session earlier today, what I'd potentially like to do is to vote to authorize staff to work on enterprise fleet management. I will make an official motion here in just a second, but what we're essentially doing is allowing us to reach into an agreement that the administrator and enterprise can start to work on this agreement together to manage the county fleet. So let me do a formal motion here. So I would motion that we enter an agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management Trust and authorize the county administrator to execute documents and lease agreements on behalf of the Dickinson County.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Only that I'll just mention that we had a very thorough presentation earlier in our work study, and this is something that other counties and entities, not only in Kansas, but Missouri utilize. And there is a potential significant savings to the county budget-wise, which is a good motivating factor.
Absolutely. I'll add to that a little bit. I've been a part of the conversation, not near as long as Marcus or Janelle have, or some of the other elected officials and managers, but I think at least I've been in tune to this for a month. So we've been working on this as a county for a while, trying to make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. So I'm very confident that our administrator and our assistant have put together, in conjunction with Ken, a very conservative outlook so far. So Ron, do you, anything?
I'm good.
Thanks, Ron. We have a motion, we have a second, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. See where we get. I assume you'll present the formal agreement once we've come to that? Yes. Okay. And then at that point, I assume the budget authority will be authorized to turn it.
Yeah, and since it would be, most of the funding would come from the equipment reserve, we'll come and present that information to you on what those projections will look like at that time.
Perfect. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Marcus. Look forward to it. Look forward to see what we can get done with our fleet management. So, with that being said, I don't believe we have any more business today, commissioners, unless we had any more comments, discussion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Who's the second?